Okay, welcome everyone to the City of Reading Planning Commission regular meeting for Tuesday, July 25th, 2023. With us attending today is on Zoom. First, I took my glasses off so I can't read. James Harris, Nelson DeLeon, and Wilson Pesci are on Zoom with us today. Danny DiColio is here in the pen room with us, and I am Wayne Dealer. I am the chairman of the Planning Commission. Oh, and Peter Rye is here with us. Yes. Have to get used to being in this room again. It's been years. Do I hear Jerome or Brandy? Are there any changes to the Planning Commission?
No,
Okay.
no changes.
Very good. Do I hear a motion to accept the Planning Commission meeting agenda as presented?
So
Peter?
move.
Okay. Nelson?
Second.
Question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I heard 5 people. That's good. Okay, first on the agenda, we have the conditional use application for 400 North 6th Street. And I will turn it over to Jerome for the update, because we did see this last month.
Yes, this is a conditional use application. It's in regards to, well, the conditional use application is 2023-02. It is for property at 400 North 6th Street. The property is a 2,614 square foot lot. And there is an existing 2.5 story building, which currently occupies 2 residential apartment units. The applicant wishes to expand the residential apartment use to 5 residential apartment uses, as well as possibly maintain the existing retail use on the first floor. It wasn't clear if it was if the commercial use was abandoned or unoccupied for more than a year, which would make it a non-conformity since it's located within the R3 zoning district. So that is being evaluated by the zoning office, and we'll have comments regarding that and that portion of the project. As mentioned, it's in the R3 zoning district. The site does not comply with all of the lot area and dimensional requirements that are specified for other uses within the R3 zoning district. So therefore, zoning variances may be required, and I brought that to the attention of the zoning office as well. The provisions for habitable space will need also to be evaluated. The applicant did submit a layout or a floor plan for the property, which shows how each unit will comply. So it will be up to the applicant to then demonstrate as part of the conditional use application that they can comply with all of the habitable space requirements. We did an assessment of the existing curbs and sidewalks, as well as the driveway apron, and found them to be in fair condition. The property will also have some site accessibility issues. The property will require a total of 8 off-street parking spaces, since there's 5 residential apartment units, and they would also need to account for any commercial use or activities that are, as well as that may be planned. This project will need to go through the sanitary sewage disposal requirements for the planning module. And we had asked that the fire and rescue department, as well as public works department, review this application and see if they have any initial issues with the project. Not sure if the city council said it at your days.
Yes,
Yes.
we're in the process. I represent LXRPA for Neil. We just confirmed August 17th for the conditional use.
So the planning commission is not obligated, but has the opportunity to provide its comments and recommendations.
The, let's see here. Tim, do you have anything to add here?
No, I think that kind of sums it up. It would be good if I could get a contact. Now, I'm looking for someone to contact about this garage next to the alley. I'd like to know if that is going to remain a garage under this proposal or if it would be converted to a occupied space.
Is Mr. O'Neill on the line? Because he had made some plans to possibly be here tonight or either via Zoom. He had said he preferred in person.
John, the floor plan that were submitted did show that that was going to be converted into a habitable space.
Okay. Yeah, I have the floor plans that went with the zoning application that show the apartment and the usable space.
Yeah, just so that everyone is aware, the view that we're looking at here shows the Buttonwood Street side of the property. All of that sidewalk in the alley and everything in this view is not there anymore. It was removed to do an emergency sanitary sewer repair last year. And the city is in the process of having that repaired. The city is going to come in and replace all of the curb and all of the sidewalk, including the alley. And we're trying to figure out if that should be a driveway cut or if it should not be a driveway cut and it should just be standard sidewalk. That's why we're trying to get a hold of the owner.
I will pass that along to the owner.
I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
And as Joan said, she is representing the applicant. Do you have anything to add, Joan?
Yes, one thing I want to add is with regard to parking spaces, which I know to be a very important issue with city zoning and the planning commission and planning office. Mr. O'Neill has worked very diligently to get parking. He is in the process of renting 5 spaces from a local parking lot, Ponce's parking lot, which is in the immediate vicinity. And there is 1 off-street space on the site. That's the way the site has always been, only having the 1 space. The site is parking challenged, but Mr. O'Neill is working diligently to get off-street parking. We'll ask that be considered in the conditional use hearing. Yeah. Mr. O'Neill? Yes. Yes. In person, we've always said. Yes, we are talking about. Here and what we're, a couple of things, Mr. Kroll from Public Works was asking about the sidewalk, whether we confirm the garage is going to come garage in the property and be converted into habitable space. But the sidewalk is in the process of being repaired, and should there be a driveway type or conventional sidewalk curb?
Where the garage door is? The question. Thank you.
Yes.
I believe there is an existing curb cut there now, which we
Yes.
we do. Our plan is not to remove the curb cut.
Ken, do you want to repeat data regarding the replacement?
Yeah, it appears from the drawing that the existing garage that's there, and you can see that in this picture, there is a curb cut there now for the garage. The city's in the progress has it scheduled to be replaced. All that sidewalk will be replaced in there. And if that area is not to be a garage, or if that garage, actually, if that garage is not going to remain as a continuation of a non-conforming use, because really it's located too close to the alley to be conforming with current zoning. But if it were to continue, that's a zoning call. I have to rely on zoning for an answer there. we would leave that curb cut there. If it was to be converted into anything else, habitable space, then we would not put the driveway there. We would prefer not to have a driveway located that close to the alley. Jerome, correct me if I'm wrong. I think that would be too close in accordance with the current code.
Yes.
You're coming a little late to this. Is the city's preference that the garage get removed? Is that and converted, or is the city's preference that that parking spot remain?
We don't have a preference. It's more of, it's your option. If you leave it as is, I believe that zoning would allow it to exist as a non-conforming prior use. In that case, we would leave the driveway as it is. We would replace it with a driveway. However, if it were to change to anything else, then the driveway would have to go away. So it's either it stays exactly as it is, or if it gets converted or changed, then that answers my question. It would become a conventional curb and sidewalk.
So we would want to preserve that. That's the one off-street space on the property. So we want to preserve that one off-street space because just as you walked in, we were discussing parking as well. And the fact that you have located 5 spaces available for rental.
Correct.
There's one on the property. You want to preserve that on the property.
Yes, and if you look at the plan, I believe the plan is a little confusing. The plan, that garage building shares another habitable space. So it's almost as if the original building was constructed and then a small brick building was constructed behind it. That is provides both habitable space and a garage space. So the plan is to maintain the habitable space portion of that, as well as keep the one parking space because due to the city of Reading's apartment requirements. And if that's not clear, then we can certainly get that clarified. But I know that it is a small area. Like if you go in it, it's a weird kind of choppy layout. You walk in the garage and you kind of step up into that. Actually, you can see where the window is of that living area. So, you know, again, if it's the city's preference that it be removed and converted, you know, we're certainly, you know, we can certainly look at that. If my understanding was that Reading, the city's preference is to maintain as many on-site parking spaces as possible.
Yeah, again, that's the only thing that Public Works is asking for right now is some clarity with the drawing. So my request to you would be is if, yes, you could take that portion of the drawing and make it a little clear if you're intending on keeping that as the parking space, as the garage, and that's clear on the drawing, then what we'll do is we'll maintain that as a driveway. In fact, we already have the design done and the design shows a driveway because that's what's there now. So we'll leave it there. If you could help us and clarify the drawing and indicate that that is going to remain as the on-site parking garage, that would be helpful.
We can do that.
Yes, that was definitely one of the big questions that we had last month. And of course, the other one was parking. So with that, I will turn it over to the commissioners for questions and comments. Go ahead, Will.
Oh, but thank you, Mr. I don't really have anything. I think everything's been resolved. Thank you.
Okay, great. Your little light came on, so.
Oh. I didn't
Yeah,
even know there was
a
something like it's like being at an auction if you move the wrong way.
Yeah.
I simply unmuted it because I figured we were going to vote.
Anything from Nelson or James?
No, I have no questions.
Okay. Nelson?
No, none from me. The only thing that I like to say is that I don't know if it's just me, but we keep having some sound issues.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so
Yes, we
sometimes
are.
I hear what he's saying, and sometimes I can't hear anything what he's saying.
Okay, I wonder if this
Somewhere else.
is the same as the other one where the second mic is not working.
Kind of, we can hear you, but the other, speakers is kind of, even Jerome, I had a hard time understanding.
Yeah, I'll second what Commissioner De Leon is saying, Mr. Chairman.
Any comments there? No? All right. Good.
I was just gonna ask a question about.
Oh, yeah.
Because the parking, is it going to be offsite then? You'd say?
There are five off-site spaces that Mr. O'Neill has found to be available for conference parking, which are off-site, trying to, remediate that condition as much as possible.
How many to remove the garage? Probably have. Close to space, must be. Open spaces.
You mean remove the garage or just have it be an open parking area?
Yeah.
We could certainly look at that. I'd have to see, it's interesting because if you look at the alley, I have to go back and take a look at it. It does. Again, the photo is kind of an optical illusion, but the building, I don't believe the red brick building goes all the way back to the back of the original building. So there might be space there.
Yeah, it looks like it might be-
There might be a little space, but is it enough to get two cars back there? In tandem, I'm not sure.
Seems to wrap the building there.
Yeah.
But, maybe there could be two spaces out of it, whereas one garage space.
Look, we'll certainly look at it. Obviously, if we can get two spaces, that's one less, one less space to be secure. So, we can get two spaces. We certainly would. We're not opposed to tearing the garage down.
And also might solve the problems concerned about the city's properties.
I'm sorry. So, to my understanding, if the garage torn down, you're thinking that you would pull in from the alley, sort of diagonally far.
Perhaps, yeah.
Okay. I don't know if there's enough space to do that. I think it would have to be tandem from the street, but we can certainly look into that.
Anything else, Joe?
The other comment that I have is based on the consultant's letter, and that is regarding the commercial use. We understand that any commercial use that would go in there would have to receive a separate zoning permit, depending on the type of use. We don't believe that the commercial use was abandoned based on Pennsylvania law that requires affirmative act of abandonment intentionally. That has been shown. We believe that it should be treated as a pre-existing nonconformity in the R3 and allowed. And we know that from experience that those ground floor commercial uses and mixed use are considered desirable in the neighborhood. They can allow space to be used, otherwise would not be usable residential space.
Yeah, actually, the last thing that was in there was a shoe store. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, we just wanted to make sure that was made part of the application, so we understood which direction project was going in, that it would be maintained as a commercial use.
Yes.
and then the only other question I have is that since this is going to require sewer modules, does this come back to us or
This will be back to us for a Moyer Lindenville.
so that's something you will have to also consider as you move forward with this project.
Yes, I mean, once we're going through the zoning approval first to make sure that use is going to be allowed, and then the next step would be the minor.
Yeah, we just try to make sure everybody sees the big picture, so they're not. When I first started on the planning commission 17 years ago, a lot of people were very surprised when certain things happened and they had to come back to us and they're like, well, why are you back here? And it's like, well, now you're doing the planning part of it, not the zoning part of it.
All it is to be treated, as you said, as a minor land development plan. We believe that because we're using the footprint of the building, that it's minimal land development, mainly for zoning and building permit trade, but not land development. But we understand that the planning commission prefers to see a minor land development plan as quickly and efficiently as possible in one step.
Yeah, your biggest thing, of course, is the planning module, which could take up to 6 months.
Right, but that would be though with Rawa though. With Rawa DEP.
No, that's with us in DEP.
Okay.
Deb Hogue handles that.
It should, I would say that is what it probably is. Well, should never say that. Never mind.
Well, the building should be connected to public sewer and water, so.
Yeah, it's just that you would be going from 3 EDUs to 6.
Mhm.
So that would be the concern. Am I correct about that, Tim?
Yeah, and I'll shepherd that through. Deb Hogue would definitely be the person to sign off on the modules. It would need a resolution, typical, with the modules, resolution from city council to accompany that. And then we would hope that the consultant on the developer side has experience with planning modules, because it takes a little bit of experience to know how to fill it out and get it through. We have a consultant that works with us on our side to help it out. Hopefully it can happen in less than 6 months, but it's not uncommon that it might take 6 months. I don't see any problems with this. I think the reservation of 3 additional EDUs should be fairly doable. And they've got a brand new sewer line right there in front, so that's not a problem.
So, okay, very good. With that, this is a conditional use application, so the motion would be to recommend to council.
Recommend the city council approval.
Recommend, not recommend with conditions for taking watch.
Okay, do I hear a motion to recommend to council the approval of the conditional use application for 400 North 6th Street?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, was that James?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Very good, thank you. Thank you, James. Okay, question on the motion?
Is there a second?
Yes, James seconded, Will.
Okay.
Peter.
Question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, sounds like opposed. Okay, sounds like we are unanimous.
Thank you.
Very, very good. Good luck to you, because the city council is being hard on the parking situation right now.
Yes, I'm familiar with the parking requirements and that they're being strict about it, but we want to see older buildings develop and sometimes some parking on the street.
Yeah, and luckily, Mr. Ponce's location is brand new and it's only 2 blocks away. Also, the redevelopment authority is working on trying to get that old warehouse across the street demolished.
And hopefully that's another source of parking.
Yeah, so that's something that's in the process, so keep your fingers crossed.
Good news.
All right, we will move on to the conditional use application for 411 South 14th Street. This is something brand new to us, so I'll turn it over to Jerome for the introduction.
Yes, this is a conditional use application for 411 South 14th Street. This project involves a 1,740 square foot lot with a 2.5-story building, which will be converted from a one-family dwelling to a 2 residential apartment units. So it'll be either classified as a 2-family dwelling or a residential apartments with two apartments. Either classification would have to be clarified. In either case, it would need to go through the as part of the conditional use application. This is a little bit more complicated because in the R3 zoning district, conversions are not permitted, so therefore, and they're permitted by conditional use, but then they're also specified as they're prohibited. So council would have to need to make that determination on how they want to proceed with that action. The applicant has also gone through the zoning hearing board as a result of zoning permit 2023-239 being denied. So they had some relief that was granted with regards to the conversion, the parking space reduction, and some other variables that were accomplished. We're just focusing on the use on this application. I did bring it to the attention of the zoning office that they may also be deficient with some of the lot area and dimensional requirements. We're not sure if the zoning hearing board took that into account, but we just wanted to make sure that that was clarified in case it's question of city council. Also, in the habitable space of the property, it was unclear whether or not the zoning hearing board provided any type of relief that's necessary for the size of the units. Moving forward with just the use, we had recommended that the zoning office, in conjunction with fire and rescue and building and trades, review the tentative layout of the plan. He had mentioned that the existing sidewalks appear to be in fair condition. With respect to the site accessibility, they will be required to have 3 off-street parking spaces for 1.5 space requirement per residential unit. They will be creating 2 parking spaces in the back, which they will be demolishing an existing garage in order to accomplish that. We're not sure if the zoning hearing board took into account whether or not the 2 spaces would be adequate for this use, but we brought that to the zoning office's attention. Keeping in mind this application was provided to us within the last few days. So we didn't have a lot of chance to collaborate or coordinate some of these zoning issues. So we just want to make sure we have them all cleared up. With respect to sanitary sewage, of course, it's going to be an extra connection for this property. And we had asked the fire and rescue department also to weigh in with respects to the fire hydrants, standpipes, and internal fire suppression requirements for this use. So that about concludes it. Again, we should probably just focus on the use. There are zoning issues that may have been resolved as part of the previous zoning case, which was done by Zoning Hearing Board of Appeal 2023-11.
Okay. Is there anyone here representing this plan?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Mark Cuck here on behalf of ILD Properties. I apologize. My nameplate is showing as my partner, Phil Edwards. Good evening, members of the Planning Commission.
Okay. Do you have anything to add, Mr. Cobb?
No, the only thing I think, obviously Jerome didn't have a whole lot of time to take a look at this, but we are scheduled for a conditional use on August 21st. Jerome, I do believe that Ms. Davis had been in contact with Building and Trades, and I think she even attended a one-stop. So it's our understanding that zoning's okay with the relief, but that's obviously another another issue for another day, so. But just to clarify again, this unit was already basically separated out into 2 units prior to her acquisition, and we acknowledge that it was probably done illegally, but she's trying to go through the methods and motions of correcting that, so.
Yeah, I should have brought that up as well. When they purchased the property, it was already converted to buildings. This process would be to legally accomplish it.
Yeah, I just want the planning commission to know she didn't do this. This was how she acquired the property, and now she's working her way through the process of bringing it into compliance.
I just have one question. In the zoning decision, it says the applicant shall not rent to more than 2 persons for each unit. I'm not sure that's allowed.
You're not sure that's what, Mr. Chairman? I'm sorry.
I'm not sure that that is allowable.
We're okay with that.
Okay. As that was the red flag to me, that I didn't know that you could actually limit the number of people in a building. I thought that was thrown out in the 60s.
Yeah,
So-
she realizes there's some limitations here, and she's appreciative of the ability to, basically recognize that this is a pre-existing condition, and I don't want to use the pre-existing nonconformity because that's not correct, but she's doing her best to try to bring this into compliance, which is admirable, I think, so.
Mark, we should probably coordinate also with the zoning office just to make sure that the issues that I brought up in my letter were already discussed or considered by the zoning hearing board as part of their decision. I just want to make sure that they accounted for some of these things.
Understood.
Okay, I'll open it up to the commissioners for comments.
So, Mr. Chairman, this is Will. So my question for Mark, so when you say it was separated out, you mean there's some physical barriers internally? I can't see the floor plan.
Yeah, well, basically it exists as 2 units now.
Okay, that's what I've been wondering. So,
Yep.
and the owner, she knew that, and she, whether she knew or not that it wasn't legal or not, she's following the right course to fix it.
As she
Did we get
relays
it?
to me, Will, she did not realize it wasn't approved at the time when she bought it.
Okay.
But nonetheless, when she was advised of that, she immediately reached out to the zoning office, submitted the
That's
permit
good.
application, got denied, and then contacted me. So she's,
That's good. I mean, we would like to encourage people to do their due diligence when they acquire these units, but it sounds like she is doing the right thing. This is it's already physically split, so it would cost money to separate it out. So, we're trying not to encourage the illegal conversions, but this was already a fait accompli. So the idea here is to bring it in as good of compliance as we can with zoning and with this conditional use application. So that's where I'm torn on it, but I'm inclined to be supportive because it's already, like I said, it's already physically split for what you're describing.
we also,
Because it seems like it's just a small row home, but
Right.
it's just
One
in the
other
middle of the
thing-
block.
right. One other thing I'd like to point out is that the zoning hearing board did require 2 parking spaces. There's a garage in the rear, and she's
Mhm.
already agreed to remove that, and she's tried to apply for the demolition permit
Right.
already. So she's full speed ahead trying to bring everything as compatible and compliant as possible.
Right, that's all I have.
James, did you have a comment?
Oh, no, I don't have anything.
Okay, just making sure I heard something and just making sure. Nelson?
Down for me, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Danny? Okay, very good.
Mark, just one other thing.
Peter.
Is it broken up by floor? How's the partition?
I believe it is actually there, if I remember correctly, the one-bedroom unit on the first floor and a two-bedroom unit on the second floor.
Yeah, and that's something I think you should clarify, when you bring this to the, as part of the hearing, that it's not a two-family dwelling, but it is a two residential apartment unit development.
And
There's a
Jerome,
difference.
I know you're pointing out about the unit sizes, but we clearly requested that relief in front of the zoning hearing board. I recognize that the decision may not be 100% crystal clear on that, but
Fine. We'll probably have a representative from the zoning office who attended the hearing at the meeting. Or at your.
understood.
And Mark, not necessarily for the conditional use application, but you may want to investigate where that handicap space is applied to.
Will do.
Just
Thanks, Michelle.
Yeah, did you hear them? Mark?
I'm not sure I did, other than I heard Michelle, but I didn't hear
Two
anything
separate
after
kitchens.
Michelle.
Are there two separate kitchens?
I believe so. There's gonna have to be.
Yeah, that's it.
And that raises a question, but that's really more for building and trades with the fire rating of this partition.
They'll be on.
Yep, I'm sure they will.
It'll
Yeah.
have to comply, Will.
Right. It's not really for us, but it just, it just came into my mind when you mentioned about the kitchen.
All right, anything else on this one? Okay, do I hear a motion to recommend approval of the conditional use application by City Council for 411 South 14th Street?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, James? Okay,
Second.
Okay, Nelson? Question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 That was Nelson and James?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Sorry, having a blank here. All those not in favor? Say nay. Nay. Okay. Very good. Then looks like we have 4-1. Is that correct?
I said aye, so.
Yeah. Okay. Very good.
5-1.
5-1. Sorry. I'm having real trouble with math today, obviously.
Thank you, members of the Planning Commission. Have a good meeting. Appreciate your time.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcus. Say hello to Phil Edwards for me, please.
I will. Take care,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Good night.
Right.
Right. Okay. Next, we have the Joint Municipal Authority of Wyomissing Valley Annexation Plan Review. This one's also new, so I'll turn it over to Jerome for the introduction.
Okay, this is the Joint Municipal Authority, Wyomissing Valley. They have two existing parcels of land that they are combining in common deed. The combined properties will be 7.36 acres. The application will be a preliminary / final plan application. The plan will need to be reviewed by the Berks County Planning Commission. And we did have some other minor issues. But it looks like there's just going to be two issues that may be outstanding. One will be the common deed description, and the second would be the Berks County Planning Commission. I think Schlott is on the phone or on the line.
Yes. Yes, I'm on.
David,
I'm with
do you
Arrow
have any-
Consulting.
David, do you have any updates on the First County Planning Commission review?
I understand it's still under review at this point. We do not have a copy of the review letter at this point. We did get,
Typically, we would recommend approval of this plan, but the county has not weighed in at this point. So we're gonna have a hold.
And it's been less than 30 days.
I believe so. Yes, but let me check.
Any comments, Mr. Schlot?
the only comment the one comment I can say is we did get an email from West Reading Borough indicating that they had no issues with this annexation plan. The authority has been operating sanitary sewer facilities on there since the 50s. It just so happens that they're two separate parcels, and we're just trying to get it joined in, annexed and joined in common deed.
Sounds like a good plan.
Are you here for Dan? No, I'm not. I'm just gonna report back to him on this.
Mr. Chairman, the application was received July 3rd, so we're under the 30 days.
Okay, yeah, so we will have to wait for Berks County Planning Commission comments. Any questions or comments from the commissioners?
No questions.
Dan? Peter? Yeah. Yeah, I think we've always had good relations with the municipal authority here. So except for this little hiccup here with the planning, I think we can go ahead with this next month.
And Arrow did a great job with the plan itself. It's just a matter of there's
Okay. Great. Just to make sure, do you have any comments, Tim?
No, no comments other than agree with you. I think this plan makes a lot of sense.
With that, do I hear a motion to table? Dan?
So move.
Okay, Nelson? Question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Very good. Nays? Okay, sounds like we are unanimous. Okay, very good. Mr. Schlott, since I believe there are no procedural questions or anything, I don't think you would really need to attend next month for the vote unless you really would like to.
Well, I still have it noted on my calendar, so I may be there. Thank you, though.
we'll put you at the top.
Thanks. I appreciate it. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next, we have something of actually of great interest to Albright College. Next is get the right thing up here. Next is the Wawa store number 153, the revised plan of record review for 1946 North 11th Street. And I'll hand it over to, there we go. I'll hand it over to Jerome for the update.
Okay. We have a revised plan of record that was resubmitted to address most of our comments. The remaining comments are just either procedural requirements or have something to do with the soil assessment on the property. I think we should probably just start with the soil assessment and hear the applicant's presentation. At this point, that there is someone here.
Yes, actually, Joe Standon is on the line with us. Hopefully, that delay goes away, but he can kind of address the plan from a soil perspective. Put this up there. Sorry. My name is Dave Vaughn. I'm with Bowler Engineering. We've actually prepared the plan. Which, really the plan is to add ethanol free to the store and it's sort of that diesel.
Okay.
Oh, so you would say, I'm sorry.
No, so Peter can see, so.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Yeah, so basically what the plan is for the site was really to add an ethanol free tank and then extend diesel and add ethanol free to 2 positions out here. And long story short, when they did the testing for the tank, they found before we even started the process of really putting a plan together, they just tested locations and found some lead contamination, and that opened it up to the PADEP review. And Joe, you want to chime in?
Sure. Thanks, Dave.
Yeah.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Great. So good evening, everybody. Thanks for having us. So yes, Dave's right. Before we started looking at we sampled the soils where the tanks were going to be, or the new tank was going to be installed, because we had to deal with a clean fill issue. So once we realized that we had a lead contamination problem at the site, we then investigated the rest of the site. And sure enough, we had lead throughout the property. So starting in the springtime, we began the remediation efforts, which have been approved by the DEP. So most of you are aware that we excavated the front part of the property along Rockland Street, and we placed that soil in the back of the property. There's 2 large soil piles in the back of the property. One soil pile is the dirty soil from along Rockland Street. The other soil pile is clean fill that we got from another location. So we then placed clean fill within the area that was excavated along Rockland Street, seeded it, and since then we also planted some trees, I believe. So since then we had to go through an approval process with Bucks County. And we also had to address some issues or some questions that the DEP had. So since then, we've been working through those issues with the DEP. We received the permit from Berks County about a month ago. So we are currently scheduled to begin the second phase of the project on the week after Labor Day. So when we do that, what's going to happen is we're going to excavate along the back edge of the property, along the curb line, and then also along the property line. Now, there's some trees in the way along the property line, so those trees will have to come down first. That soil will be placed back towards the south end of the soil that's excavated along the edges will be placed in the center of the property, and clean fill soil will then be, and it'll be spread on the back of the property, and then clean fill soil, which is that pile that we still have there, that will be placed on top of the dirty soil, so about 1.5 feet deep. Now, we are going to need some additional soil. We need about 1,000 additional yards of clean fill, which right now our contractors are searching for, and they have found a location to that we can source the clean fill pile. So that the remaining soil, that clean fill soil will be brought onto the property. That will also be used as a cover for the contaminated soil. And then once we're done with that, the area will be seeded and it'll grow. We should be done in about a month or so. So from September 5th to the beginning of October to maybe the middle part of October, we should be finishing up with the seeding. And then throughout the fall, we expect that soil or that the seed will be able to grow, and we'll be able to pretty much finish the project up once the seed has taken root. So by the end of November, we believe that project will be complete, and we will submit the final report to the DEP.
To be clear, that's the remediation part of the project.
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
And when does the installation of the new tanks and pumps?
That's contingent on how quickly we can get approval to put them in. We would like to start as, as soon as possible. We do have to file an application with PAL, and that usually goes fairly quickly. But, and then I believe as part of that, we would have to go back to Berks County Conservation District, just to make sure that they're okay with the plan as it stands. So it's really Berks County Conservation District, PAL, and the city of Raleigh.
Sounds complicated. So do the commissioners have any questions?
Yes, Mr. Chair, this is Will. So and I appreciate that presentation. For one thing, it clarifies about the pile there on the northwestern side, that's the clean fill. And
That's correct.
so that poses no concern to the adjoiner on the west side, which is Albright College. But when I had asked about the dust, the answer was about the compliance with the EPA regulations on dust, which I appreciated, but I also had asked about runoff. Is there any concern with that pile of disturbed earth, contaminated soil on the southern end now of the property, southeastern part, about runoff going into other parcels or contaminating groundwater? Not that we use groundwater as a water source here, but what about in the meantime until all the remediation is complete? I'm getting at what concern or what can be done or what is being done to address that part of it, or is that not a concern?
Well, runoff's always a concern, and it's my understanding that we have erosion control features around that soil pile. The contractors they check on it on a regular basis just to make sure all those features are still working. So we don't believe runoff will be an issue. And it will also not be an issue during the work because, again, we will have erosion control features in place that are required as part of our permit. To address the groundwater contamination issue, lead is not going, the lead isn't going anywhere. It's not going to be contaminating groundwater from our investigation. Remember, that whole area, it's just not our property, but that whole area is believed to be, lead is believed to be a problem.
Right.
For that entire.
Beyond your parcel even.
Beyond our parcel, yes, sir.
Right. And lead is a heavy element. It depends on its concentration and that and how deep the water table is. I understand. I just wanted to throw that out there to understand if there were any concern there. And I figured the vegetation that's growing on the piles is helping to prevent the erosion. I don't know if that's part of the erosion plan or just a positive side effect of that or what. But okay, that at least addresses that concern to some degree. So basically, it should assuage any concern on that, about that at all, right?
That's correct. And what I forgot to mention was, as part of the initial investigation, we sampled wells that are on the property, monitor wells, and lead contamination, lead was not in the groundwater.
Very well, thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
What is our main concern by the commissioners?
So, well, it's a revision to the record plan. So the, I guess we just have to make sure that we're okay with them putting in a new tank and that they're following the correct procedures as required by the DEP.
I don't think anyone expected this to be a factor in this project. It was probably viewed as something that was just stockpiled, but then as you evaluate further, then you have to follow certain procedures to comply with state and federal requirements. So it's just a matter of the applicant is now waiting to go through that process. And once the soil remediation plan is approved, their Berks County Conservation District our plan will be approved, and that's what we're concerned about.
Yes.
So this will be on hold for a while.
Until those organizations.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is one of those more procedural items that we've run into. Okay, occasionally.
Yeah, our comments are around minor. And we'd asked that the applicant attempt to provide a note on the plan to identify or summarize. Not put all the details on it, but some. And then once the permits and are approved, then they can note those on the plan.
Anything else from the commissioners?
No,
Have an extension for the plan review
Okay,
and it's been submitted.
Nelson?
no, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Tim, I'm sorry, I skipped over you. Do you have any comments?
Yeah, just a couple of questions, just for clarification. I think Mr. Standen mentioned, and I didn't quite catch it here, that there was expecting a permit from Berks County. Did I hear that correct? What permit was that you were referring to?
It's erosion control permit and we have
Okay.
received it.
Yeah, okay. And is that an NPDES permit?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay, that's good. Yes, and I agree with what Jerome mentioned. Somewhere on this revised plan, there should be a note that summarizes all of this so that for posterity, people can look back and understand that all this discussion, this good discussion about how all this is being handled is documented so we can, have that to refer to. I second that idea to put that note on the plan, including the NPDES permit and that permit number. And that's all I have.
Brad, since you're here, do you have any questions or comments being an adjoining?
Mr. Chairman, and the members, Mr. Stratton has been a good one to us, full disclosure. He's been a great neighbor. We have no issues. We just like to be kept abreast of, their activities so that we can return and inform our students, our faculty, and just to make sure that nothing communicated. And we appreciate that very much.
Very, very good. I'm glad this is, yeah.
No electrical charging stations, right?
Not just time.
Maybe by the end of the project.
Yeah. Okay, very good. Does anyone have anything else on this project? Okay, I think we will have to table this because we're waiting on a few things, Jerome.
Yes.
Okay, do I hear a motion to table?
I'll move the table, Mr. Chairman.
All right, I have Peter as first, Will is the second. Okay, question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, sounds like we are unanimous. Thank you very much for coming in with the update and being such a good neighbor to Albright and everyone else and keeping everyone up to date on what is happening with this project.
So as I understand it, we will revise the plan contingent upon the review letter comments. We will submit to Berks County Conservation District what we have, and but when we have those items addressed, we would come back again for approval. Is that? Yes. I'll work with that. Understood. Thank you.
That makes sense. Take that.
Yeah, let's do that before I forget, since I'm so forgetful. See here. Okay, and this will require a time extension.
I put a 30-day date in. Is that enough to increase that?
I'd go at least 90.
Okay. I can revise that and get it back to you. The form.
Okay,
Sorry. Or
Can-
if you want
can you just write it? Can we write it on here and then I have
Yeah.
a re-signature?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just,
Okay.
I would just cross through like one
So I'll
line,
put
a new date and
1/1/24. Is that all right? 1/1/24. Is that okay?
If that's okay with Mr. Standen, and everyone else.
And you would meet on the 9th.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Just wanted-
We meet on the 9th of January.
No, that
Oh,
one's
yeah.
looking at their December meeting date.
And then
Understood.
just initial by the adjustment. Great, thank you.
Thank you.
I think it'd be good.
Very good. We now have signed time extension until 1/1 of the year 2024. Do I hear a motion to accept the time extension?
So move.
Nelson, and Peter is the second. Question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, very good. And we are unanimous on that one, and very good. Thank you for sticking around, Brad. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next we have the Iglesia Pentecostal Movimiento de Fe Land Development Plan. And I'll kick it over to Jerome for the update.
Okay, last month, we focused on site accessibility. And as you recall, the applicant had gone back to the zoning hearing board and got their extension. So now what has been accomplished is they resubmitted the preliminary land development plan, which addresses all the issues. So now everything's back together again under one review. And I'll summarize the review, although it looks lengthy, it's just now identifying all the issues that are remaining on this property. As mentioned, they have a 1-year time extension for the to comply with the zoning hearing board decision. With regards to the site accessibility, which we spent a lot of time on last month, the site access points we feel that are acceptable, as well as all the turning movements within the site and use of the alleys. The one thing that we weren't 100% on board with was the embedded utility pole that's located in one of the alleys, or the extension of one of the alleys. So we would like to see all efforts be made to move that pole so it's located outside the alley or the travel lanes, and maybe onto lot 2, where it can then be out of the way for any travel conditions. So that's probably the biggest remaining site accessibility issue left on this property. Moving down the line, they still need to resolve the sanitary sewage disposal issues via the planning module with Public Works. With regards to stormwater management, we did identify some issues that need to be resolved at this point. I think that these are leftover items from the previous review. The applicant has submitted a new stormwater management report, so we will be working with the applicant's engineer and surveyor directly to make sure that these are resolved in a timely manner. Berks County Conservation District will need to approve this plan as well. And then lastly, we will need a municipal improvements agreement and a stormwater management maintenance agreement. All these requirements we feel can be accomplished as part of the final plan. Therefore, we are recommending preliminary plan approval so that the applicant can proceed with the final plan and address the comments that are issued within our July 24th review letter.
This sounds good after almost 2 years, right?
I think that if Dan's here, you did a heck of a job.
Yeah, yeah. Tim, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I'm agreeing with Jerome in his assessment of this. I think he summarized that real well. I think we can address the rest of the items in the final plan stage. I do have a question for Dan. The last time we talked about that utility pole, I think it will work. It's not the best. It would be much nicer if that utility pole were relocated so that it's not in the middle of the driveway, the alley driveway. Were you able, Dan, to contact Med Ed and discuss it? Do they know that this that their pole now is going to be in the middle of a driveway? Dan, you're muted.
They're poles on the edge of the 15-foot alley. So they're
But-
not really in a problem. So that's why I went around it. And, you know, if I move that straight ahead to put it on the lot, it's going to change the easements on the adjoining people's property. So that's why I tried to work around it. And heck, Ole Township used to have a road, Oak Lane, that had a 36-inch tree in the middle of the road, and everybody drove around it real well. So that's what I was thinking. You know, this is an alley. Lots of times we'd be backing concrete trucks up these alleys, and you could hardly get past the poles because they were on the edge, restricting the
Yeah.
poles.
Yeah, I
But,
know what you mean. Yeah, we
yeah.
have worse situations in the city than this. I just didn't know if MedEd was aware that now that you're expanding the driveway, the appearance is, or the effective driveway is alley, if you want to call it, is now wider, and it puts this pole more or less in the middle. So you're driving around it. I just
Yeah.
say, you know, let MedEd know that this is the condition that's going to happen now. It's not going to be along the edge. It's going to be, you know, effectively in the middle of this this driveway, alley driveway. I
Well,
think they should be advised that that's what it's going to look at. And what's their response? Are they okay with that, or would they prefer to move it?
Who do you have a contact at MedEd?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I have a few. Just email me, Dan, and I'll give you a couple of names. And,
Okay.
I could piggyback on that conversation if you want.
'Cause we could move it ahead and get it on our property a little bit, but yeah, it comes in off of Luzerne Street there across the neighbor's property. So if you start moving it a whole lot, you're going to change, you know, their design. So,
You know,
but
Dan, have you seen an easement? Do you have that in your possession, or does the owner, does the church have an actual easement?
sure, I have it on there.
Oh, okay, all right. I just didn't know if it actually existed.
No, there's MedEd easements miscellaneous book 222, page 387.
Okay,
Because that was one of, I think, Will's questions a long time ago, that he thought that was some kind of 50-foot right of way through there, and
Yeah.
it isn't. So
Okay.
we had the title report that had the
yeah.
record books in it, or the miscellaneous books in it.
Again, I'm okay with it. It just would be much better if they could move it. And as long as MedEd is okay with it, I guess I'm going to be okay with it too.
Well, that's, you know, we can certainly give them a chance, and we could give it, you know, usually with these people, it's tough to find a person that you can talk to. Right now, it's on the edge of an unopened 15-foot right of way. So they're going to say, well, our pole's in the right place.
Yeah. Yeah, the engineer who used to be there at MedEd has retired, but he's got a replacement. I have his contact, so we can contact him.
Okay.
The only other question that I had for Dan is, we talked about planning modules. Will you be submitting a narrative for this lot? This new lot? Have you addressed the planning module situation?
I think we sent something in before. We were just going to have it for Sunday school rooms. I don't think we're, you know, if they use it for church services 2 times a week, I don't think the flows are any more than the single EDU.
I would agree with that. I just don't remember. Jerome, did we get a letter to that effect? Did we get a note?
We may have it, Dan, if we did, send the narrative to us again.
I'll look at it and update it, because things have been changing.
Yeah,
And,
like you normally do with the flows, the
Yeah.
predicted flows. And I mean, what you're saying makes sense. We just need to have it in writing.
Yeah, what they're planning on doing is they're going to take the house down. They're going to leave the foundation there so that they have their utility room in the existing basement, and they're going to build a new structure around it.
Okay.
And I was talking to the Conestoga builders who are going to do the work for them. And so they're going to get me a better footprint and stuff for what they're doing, but they should make it a nice structure there, and utilize the parking on both lots.
Very good. That's all I had.
Any comments from any of the commissioners?
Nah, no comment, no questions.
Okay. Very good. Okay, man. No? Okay, yeah, I think, yeah, it's been a long time coming, but I think we're ready. Okay, with that, do I hear a motion to approve the preliminary, the preliminary land development plan review of the Iglesia Pentecostal Movimiento de Fe at 1124 Schuylkill Avenue. With the provision that all comments are attended to from the review letter dated June 23rd, 2023 by Hawk Valley Associates. No, I had the wrong one. July 24th. We'll amend that to be July 24th. Do I hear a motion? Dan? Second?
A second.
Okay, thank you, James. Question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Well, thank you, Dan, for all your hard work on this one. And we look forward to the final plan.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm glad we're finally pushing the football down the field.
Okay, now, number 9. And guess so. Oh, well, I didn't put it there, sorry. Next, we have the 12th Street traffic pattern proposal for presented by Albright College for the block of North 12th Street between Byrne and Exeter Streets. And I'll hand it over to Jerome for any updates that you might have.
This is something we're going to have to consider at this meeting. We found out yesterday that council has scheduled its hearing prior to our next planning commission meeting, so therefore this is our opportunity to provide any comments. This is a draft ordinance to chapter 576, which is vehicles and traffic, and it will involve North 12th Street in 2 separate segments. The first segment would be along North 12th Street between Byrne and Exeter Street. That would be modifying it from a 2-way traffic pattern to a 1-way street heading south. And then also between Richmond Street to Byrne Street, and that would be modifications to the on-street parking requirements. What we did with this application was we provided a few recommendations or points of clarification. We felt that the draft ordinance should identify the dimensions of the cartway widths and on-street parking spaces that will be provided along North 12th Street. More specifically, the 1-way segment, which will have a cartway width reduced for travel lanes. We had also recommended that the traffic and pedestrian patterns comply with the minimum design criteria that are established by the city of Reading and PennDOT. That the traffic control signs and pavement markings also be located and installed and to comply with the city of Reading and PennDOT criteria. That the proposed traffic plan and ordinance should be reviewed by the Public Works Department as well as the Police Department and Fire and Rescue Department prior to the hearing. And then finally, we also just made a motion or a note that Albright College would then be responsible for all code costs associated with implementing the traffic plan. As I mentioned, the council does have the hearing, so tonight is our opportunity to provide comments to city council. This will be as a recommendation.
Do you have anything, Tim?
Yeah, I already provided some comments on the exhibit, just some minor things, just notes and dimension things. The question I have is, I was reading through the draft ordinance, and I'm not sure that the draft ordinance referenced the drawing as an exhibit, and I think it needs to be referenced. I think that's the intent, is to have this drawing of the block entered as an exhibit to the ordinance. And that's typically the way we do it. We do have a drawing when we're doing something like this.
I would be glad to make that change to add that as an exhibit.
And Tim, your comment, we might have been going back and forth on some comments and as to why we didn't include that as an exhibit to the ordinance, but we'll take care of that.
Very good, thanks.
Greg, do you have anything?
No, we can certainly add in the comment that Tim wanted, and we're all set.
Michelle?
Yeah, I have to refresh looking at the ordinance. I just want to make sure that my recollection is that the ordinances provide how parking is. So just making sure that this is angled, and maybe the attaching the exhibit does so, but to make sure if this is altered from parallel to angled, that's
Yes.
reflected.
Yes, it does. In section 3B, it says on-street pull-in angle parking in designated spaces should be permitted along North 12th Street from its intersection with Fern Street to its intersection with Exeter Street on the Sheriff Stadium side of the street.
Okay. I just want to make sure that that's reflected that they are angled in the along the Okay. I looked at it, but I didn't remember seeing that in the same diagram, which is something I thought of, so.
The only thing I have is the exit from the parking lot for Exeter Hall that enters onto North 12th Street. I believe you'll need to add a right-hand turn only sign there.
Good. That's not a problem.
Is that correct, Tim?
Yeah, that sounds good. I think Jerome, maybe your crew may have noted that. That makes sense to me.
Yes.
Anything else, Peter?
So this is more campus parking. And it's really for general to increase parking for the city itself. But what we're trying to do is create a better condition between Burn Street intersection and Exeter Street by slowing down all the traffic that's coming through there. But yet at the same time with the neighbors, we're keeping two-way from Burn Street back to Richmond Street. We got the students going to be coming out of Exeter Hall dorm. They're going to cross between North 12th Street and Burn Street intersection right there. And then on the south side at North 12th Street and Exeter. So there's going to be a lot of students going through those two crosswalks. So what we're trying to do is slow that traffic down. If you've been through that area, you can see people don't always pay attention to that. So anybody can park there? Yes. That's where I'm school. We have two handicap spaces there, which are in front of Church Stadium, the locker room or the field house entrance right there. As I discussed with, with Jerome earlier, that I'll have Greg, we'll sit down and detail out the width of the drive aisle in addition to the parking space and the handicap parking space. I'll provide a detail there. And also with Greg about doing a little further detail about the intersection at Burn and 12th Street. just kind of blow it up so that everybody understands that right. So working district primary location. Absolutely, and create a safer environment for our students, faculty. One thing that maybe Jerome didn't mention is on the camp building side, the parking is going to remain the same, and the parking remains the same on our, across from our neighbors. We're not changing any of that. However, we are requesting that we put no tractor trailer parking on the camp building side on down 12th Street.
And that's also included in the ordinance.
Right. And that's when you're exhibit.
Yeah.
Any other comments from the commissioners?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is Will. We had this presentation at the workshop. I appreciate it. After that, I wanted to confirm my understanding of it, so I did visit the site to make sure I understood correctly. So first of all, it certainly makes sense to preclude the truck parking. As I noted in other contexts, there are a lot of tractor trailers parked in this industrial area of the city. I was thinking the same as you, Mr. Chairman, about the right turn only sign, and without increasing any costs or delaying the project, if also the turning lane could sort of encourage right-hand turns. Remember, Tim Kroll will remember on Lancaster Avenue, something we imposed that requirement there on the Wawa. I don't know if we have to have it cemented like that, or it could just be lined or something. But whatever Public Works would recommend along those lines to encourage right-hand turns only might be prudent, again, without burdening the applicant. Is one of the purposes of this, I would just like to know, for this public meeting, to discourage the students from traveling eastbound on Burn Street? Because the Burn Street's a bit awkward. It goes underneath the gym, and it comes out there at 13th Street, and it's not the best visibility for traffic on 13th Street to see vehicles coming from there. Is that part of the thinking here too?
Not really. The purpose here is to really decrease the speed from traveling on 12th Street. We want our students to walk as much as possible and not to get around on the campus, not to use their vehicles to travel on campus. That is heavily discouraged. So we want to make sure that there's parking, the students that are staying there in that dorm, they're parked their cars there. But that is not the real reason. What we're doing here is to slow that traffic down, because there's going to be a lot of students crossing back and forth on 12th Street. So we're trying to create a safe path as possible.
Right, and that makes sense. I just wanted to get that out there, what the purpose of this is, so the public would understand, and for city council to understand. But it might have that benefit too, if we're not increasing the traffic coming that way, which, like I said, is not the safest route, because there's reduced visibility there because of the shadow effect of the gym being over top of it. Is what I'm getting at. So overall, I think it's an acceptable plan. I appreciate everything. Thank you.
So just to add to your comment, we do have a further visions on other streets, intersections, and in our overall master plan, so to speak. So we do have a plan that we're looking at from the Turtle Dome, as we call it, from 13th Street. How we're going to come through there and come through Burn Street and also Burr Street. So that's another plan. But right now, this has a priority that we consider as a safety priority to our students. And that's why we're addressing this now. And the timing of this is that we want to get this through so that we can implement this at the time of the opening of the dorm.
Thank you.
It is the seventh, the workshop, the 18th is Monday, the 18th. Yeah.
Good. All right, any other comments from the commissioners?
No?
All right,
The 18th of Friday.
Seventeenth, there is a city council meeting on seventeenth.
So from
yeah, they're having a conditional use hearing on the 17th.
14th.
It's the 14th, 8th.
Yeah, 14th of the
8th,
original.
7th, and the 14th is the meeting. The workshop is on the 7th and 14th.
Okay.
Did I say the 24th?
You said the 18th. I have it here. So.
Okay.
So then it's already scheduled out.
All right, I guess, our job here is to make a recommendation to council for the ordinance, I believe. Is that correct?
That's right.
Okay. Well, do I hear a motion to recommend the 12th Street traffic pattern proposal to, and the accompanying ordinance for approval by, city council? Peter?
Second.
Nelson? Question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. Very good.
Chairman, and members too as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Once again, great pleasure to see you, Brad. Yeah, we're going to be glad to see, happy to see how things progress over there at Albright.
Appreciate it. Stay tuned.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay. Next up, we have the Muhlenberg Laureldale Joint Comprehensive Plan request for review. And I'll turn it over to Jerome, since I remember this being a short thing.
Good morning. Sure, I'm using.
Okay.
We're gonna be putting something up on the screen, so.
Yeah, I just need to know like the page or the figure. I can look through it too.
Figure 19.
Figure 19. Okay.
This is something else we don't get a lot of, so this is something that is due for you. Muhlenberg and Laureldale both came together to do a joint comprehensive plan. As part of the Pennsylvania Municipalities Plan Code requirements, the draft plan is sent to the adjacent municipalities, their school district, and as well as making it available for the public to review. Since we share a common border with Muhlenberg Township to the north, we are an adjoining municipality. So therefore, we have the opportunity to review the plan and provide any comments to it. The draft joint comprehensive plan includes 12 chapters and 20 maps. Randy is looking to put on our future land use map, their future land use map, which is probably something that's more of the focal point of the plan itself. I just wanted to add that the functional components of this plan include the and includes a community assessment and recommendations for land use and zoning, transportation, community facilities and services, economic development, natural features and agriculture, and historic and cultural resources. So the future land use plan that is now displayed on the screen shows how Muhlenberg Township and then Laureldale Borough would like to envision that their municipalities will be viewed in the future in terms of land use. We did not see any discrepancies between land use components with our with the uses that are located along the northern border and their southern border of the property. So there was no immediate conflicts. It seems like everything has been developed or will continue to recognize those uses. The implementation strategy that is contained within the plan do attempt to implement the community vision and the goals that are established by this plan. The draft plan also is consistent with our last comprehensive planning effort, as well as all of the subsequent plans that have been completed by the city of Reading in order to implement our own comprehensive plan. So in essence, we're stating that our planning efforts are consistent with the proposed planning efforts of this plan. I'd like to applaud Muhlenberg Township and Lauderdale Borough for this effort. And my office recommends that the planning commission provide a favorable recommendation.
Did you have anything, Tim?
I haven't had a chance to review it, but I have nothing to add at this time.
Anything, Michelle?
I have nothing.
Okay, because yeah, I can't remember ever doing something like this. Any comments, Peter?
Gosh, it's hard to know whether there's any adjacent change that would impact what's, for that border.
Yeah. So there's the common board.
The common board, so that would be, is there anything there that's substantial change for our years or no? But essentially no impact.
And the reason why I know that I prepared the Muhlenberg Township Comprehensive Plan back in 2004. So. And they do show the existing land uses that are within the city of Reading and that one another map. So it's that'd be so.
Was this like,
It's required. It's not required. It's suggested that every 10 years. I mean, each municipality updated its comments.
Mr. Chairman, this is Tim. I'll add this comment just so that everybody's aware of it. For Muhlenberg Township, all of Muhlenberg Township sewer is conveyed to the city of Reading for treatment. They don't have their own treatment plant. It's all conveyed to the city. So not that I don't know if that's even reflected in the comp plan. It might be. I guess it should be. Maybe Jerome, you would know, but it's just something that I just throw out there for information.
This map that portrays the existing land uses is a good map also to look at, and you'll see the common border between the city of Reading and Muhlenberg Township, which Brandon is now showing. So you can see that you have the purple is industrial, red is commercial, orange is medium to high density residential, yellow is generally a light or low density residential. Yes, thanks. Blue is industrial. Oh no, I'm sorry, municipal or institutional.
Yeah, actually, the blue is probably the school on City Line Drive.
Yeah.
City Line
institution.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's actually Reading School District.
And then green would probably be agriculture.
The big blue area, I should say, is Reading School District, basically.
So the areas that do cross over the borders, and I think that they try to be consistent with what it was previously zoned. And if they do take the next steps, their zone would probably be comprehensively updated to implement this plan.
Yeah. And that section is also generally built out along Hamden Boulevard.
So, Mr. Chair, this is Will. Just to add on to what Tim Cross said, also the Reading Water Authority's water mains run through Muhlenberg Township from Ortolani Township, or Lake Oneonta as our supply. I'd run along Huntsville Pike. I would just add I thought it was a good plan. There's some things we could learn from. I would just add one thing. The maps that they show, where they show the boundary with the city, show the Northmont Playground as if it were still in Middleburg Township, but that had been conveyed to the city of Reading, I think sometime in the 1970s. I would just ask for that to be clarified as to
Good
which
call,
side it is
Will.
on and who's responsible, whose facility it is.
Yeah. Brandy, could you zoom in on that? It's shown in yellow.
But the
Yeah.
different maps, the different codes.
You see that little yellow square there around Northmont? It's right in the middle, Brandy, right in the middle there, that little yellow square. I believe Will is correct. That should be, not that one. Come down toward the black line.
Down under, to the left of Fifth Street.
Right there. Oh, almost right in the middle. Right there. That's it. Yeah, we want to look at that. I believe Will is correct. That should be included in the city of Reading. That's the playground.
It's right next to the hotel.
Yes. Correct.
Thank you. Actually, on Google, it does show that it's being included in the city of Reading.
That's very interesting.
So, we'll just tell them to check the southern boundary line of their planning area. Yeah, it's, they'll adjust all their, that's the part of the basement. That's not just this now.
That's a very good call.
Thank you.
All right.
But there's nothing changed here that would warrant it.
Everyone a second to make their notes and things.
Put that in your room.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Okay, any other comments?
I think the blue there is actually.
Yeah, there is all right property.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe it is, yeah.
Where I think the apartments.
Yes, I believe that is, you can, because there's 13th Street and it goes, yeah. Yeah, that's where the apartments are, those. Okay, with that, do I hear a motion to recommend approval or recommend passage?
Recommend passage of the comp plan as presented with the map change.
Okay. And including the comments from the review letter of July 24th by Hawk Valley Associates. How's that sound? Okay, do I hear a motion? Sure. Okay, Danny and Peter? Question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Very good. Okay, let's see here. The old business project updates and pending plans are included on the supplemental report, which was distributed this afternoon. So unless Jerome or Brandy has something to highlight on that, we'll just pass over that. Okay. Next, we go to our favorite part. Active plans requiring reaffirmation approval. First plan is for 615 to 619 Walnut Street. This is the veterans plan, veterans apartment. Do I hear a motion? Dan? Second? Peter? Question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Next is the reaffirmation of the Burn Street Car Wash Plan at 1725 North Fifth Street. Do I hear a motion?
So move.
Okay, Peter and Nelson for the second. Question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, next is the companion project, the Burn Street Storage at 1704 North Sixth Street. Do I hear a motion? Danny, second? Peter? Question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed?
Before you go into the next item, Michelle, you have the draft agreements.
I believe I do. Okay, I made myself a note to look for those.
Okay, here, so I sent draft agreements, so those should be ready or close to ready. Hopefully, we'll do the rest of the reaffirmations.
Okay, no, as long as it's moving forward, Joe, that's all what we look for. This is a relatively complex plan with the
Right.
the two things going on. You got the cross. You got the process. We had to do the vacation. You need an HOP permit, all that good stuff.
The progress is continuing, so thank you.
Yeah, no, fantastic.
Have a good evening.
Okay, thank you, John.
Thank you.
Okay, next is the Reading School District STEM School at 801 North 9th Street. Do I hear a motion to reaffirm? Dan? Second? Sure. Peter? Question on the motion?
Yeah.
All those in favor?
This is Will.
Oh, go ahead, Will.
Yeah, it looks like they're doing a better job thanks to our planning consultant on the dirt. There was a several block spread of dirt all over the city streets. I think all the way out to Hampton Boulevard past Spring. That's how far it had gotten, and I don't see that anymore. They must have cleaned that up. I haven't looked down. I haven't gone down Windsor Street closer to it. So I appreciated that remediation. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Yeah, I saw that it was a lot less too, and it's been a little while since I've been out there, but
Downpours are gonna be a challenge.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, very good. Now we go to active plans requiring time extensions, and we have the Holy Trinity Church of God at 1541 Montgomery Street. This is the really complex one with the street vacations, all of that stuff that we're waiting on. But of course, that's a lot of coordination and stuff.
Well, by way of update, Tim and I received an email from Attorney Mark Cuck today with drafts to review. So, for the street vacation. So we'll take a look at that and I'll consult with Tim.
Great. Moving forward. Greg. Did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, it was pretty much the city ordinances, and we'd received a letter with very minor comments from BTMA for the sewer, so that we could get that submitted.
Okay, so this is moving forward then.
Greg, then, this is Tim. Did you say that then they have been submitted now? The modules have been submitted to the DEP?
No, they,
Okay,
BTMA, they got back to us, I guess, after a
Okay.
couple months of
yeah,
our submission be in there. And they had just a couple comments left where they just added some new comments that will get addressed.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Sure thing.
We don't have, where are we with the county easement?
County gave us a good letter, came out of Dave Paris.
Okay,
So I consider that's pretty well resolved.
Yeah, I just have a check mark.
okay, I just haven't seen it, so I knew that was an outstanding issue.
Well, luckily, we have Dave Paris on our side. So, he will help. Yeah, I'm sure he'll help us as much as he can while looking after the concerns of the county.
Yep, that's what he was doing.
So, very good. Okay, with that, do I hear a motion to accept the time extension for how many days? Or until when?
Want to say it was 90.
I think it was just 90, yeah.
90 days? Okay. For time extension for 90 days. Do I hear a motion?
Yes.
Okay, I just always like to make sure you remind these numbers. So we can put in the-
So it has, Mr. Chairman, 10/24/23.
Okay, that's your.
That's a meeting. Okay. So until October 24th, 2023. And you're still okay with that, Peter?
Absolutely.
Very good. Okay, second on the motion?
Second.
Okay, question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.
Okay, thanks, Greg.
Aye.
Okay, opposed? Didn't think so. All right, announcements, reports and other planning commission business. Since I was not able to attend the workshop meeting, I'll turn this over to Will to give a summary of what happened.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I'm going to toss it to our city planner, Brandy Davis, to summarize the first part, the Downtown Vision Zero Action Plan, which was an interesting presentation.
All right, great, thank you, Will. So we
Saturday
had,
morning, yes. And I'll jump in if there's anything to add.
no, that's fine. So we had Simone Collins come to provide a presentation and update on their active transportation plan and how they are going to work in a Vision Zero portion. And what this basically does is allow for the city to seek additional funding, federal funding. So that's how, now I'm looking at Jerome. I'll pass it on to, okay. So that was, and they have done some public outreach, and they're going to work that into some changes, and they're going to bring that back to Planning Commission later in the fall.
September. So, yeah, I'm September, right?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
I
in September, I'm sorry.
I did.
I
watch
can't
the
hear what.
presentation. So, if it's actually very well worth watching if you weren't able to make the meeting like I was. Mr. Simone did a great job, I thought.
Yes, and the zero part is the goal to reduce pedestrian deaths to zero. So it focuses on the sidewalks and bicycle lanes and safer ways to do these things. It's very interesting and exciting, and it ties together with the trails and other plans that throughout the city. So it's definitely along the lines of our goals, and we'll be interested to hear the rest of it in September. The second part, Mr. Chairman, the 12th Street traffic plan is what we already discussed earlier. And then the the third part is the phase 2 of the ordinance amendment updates. And we already had done phase 1, and our planning consultant gave us the presentation on those two sets, two comprehensive amendments to sections of the zoning ordinances, and I'll turn that over to our planning consultant, Jerome Strankowski.
Yeah, the two amendments are going to be focusing on adaptive reuse, which is going to be more of a comprehensive revision to the zoning ordinance, and it's going to allow adaptive reuse in the library districts, subject to certain criteria. And then the other comprehensive amendments were to parking and loading, which is part 16 of the zoning ordinance, in which we provided. The ordinance was probably last prepared somewhere in the 70s, and it doesn't address all the issues that we wanted to address, for example, EV stations and things like that. So we've, as well as parking garages, and also modern design requirements. And we don't, within part 16, we don't cover all of the uses that are permitted within the zoning ordinance. So there's no, in some instances, there's no criteria for parking. So this is, again, they're both very comprehensive in terms of, it's almost impossible to go back and find out what's kept within both of those segments. But that's why we wanted to defer from phase 1 and move into phase 2, and then just so that those two issues can be focused by themselves.
Okay.
And this is part of our ongoing efforts to review the zoning ordinances after we had already reviewed our own subdivision and land development ordinance and made comprehensive changes to it. And now the staff has been reviewing the zoning ordinance thoroughly. And this is really our opportunity as members of the planning commission to plan, because especially like in regard to the adaptive reuse, but even with the parking, because usually we're approving plans. We don't really do a comprehensive planning ourselves, except through the guidance of a comprehensive plan. But here's our opportunity to shape things with the staff's professional input through the ordinances that govern us. So this is really, continues to be a very important facet of what we do, and it's complex, like like we said earlier. So I encourage the commissioners to take a look at it and give us any comments, suggestions, or anything that they might have. And I think that was it for the workshop, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you very much, Will. Does anyone have anything to add? No? Okay. Very good. That was really good overview. Next, we have approval of the Planning Commission minutes for March 28th, 2023. I just had two minor issues on page 2, number 5A. I just asked for the word build to be changed to annex, since we're not building a whole new stadium. And just to correct the pagination problem at the bottom of each page. So does anyone have anything else? Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes with those minor corrections? Danny? Second? I'll second it.
Second.
Okay, yeah, I'll take James. That's better. Sounds better to me. Question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. Very good. Our next Planning Commission meeting will be the workshop meeting of August 15th, 2023. I will not be here. I will be in Charleston, West Virginia. I will be stopping to meet the former executive director of the Reading Symphony Orchestra, who's now the president of the West Virginia Symphony Orchestra. On my way back from Louisville, Kentucky, where my daughter will be joining the Louisville Ballet Studio Company.
Congratulations.
So I'm all over the place.
Congratulations.
So, oh, it's very exciting. So I have to move her from Columbus, Ohio, where she is now, down to Louisville, Kentucky. So it's going to be interesting.
Well, thank you for the heads up and safe travels. And we, with our planner, we managed to pull off the workshop with the hybrid kind of meeting. We survived it, so I think we'll be able to handle it. We forgot to mention there was a greenhouse meeting last week. I don't know if you were able to, I was not able to attend. But
Yeah.
there's a major progress on that. So that's an exciting development. I just haven't been able to attend the meetings, but I'm keeping up with it.
Yeah, so, okay. And our regular meeting will be August 22nd of 2023. One last thing I wanted to bring up. I wanted to ask Peter if he would be interested in taking over the position of the Planning Commission representative to the Blighted Property Review Committee. Sure. Okay. Will you be able to make it on August 5th, I think it is? Or will you be out of the country? August. Oh, that's right. That can't be right. Let me get Linda's email.
Is it the first Thursday?
4 times a year. Okay. So.
Is it the first Thursday?
Well, thank you, Peter.
It's 3rd. What time? 6 p.m. Yeah. Okay, great. I'll send you all the cool information that goes along with it. And I'll notify Linda that you are now yeah, I think we will need to vote on it. So, yeah. Okay, so do I hear a motion to appoint Peter Rye as the Planning Commission representative to the Blighted Property Review Committee?
I'll
So
move it,
moved.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay, I'll take Will.
Okay,
Gee,
whoever.
Something all over it. Question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, very good. And then the next meeting would be 60 days after that. And then the next meeting won't be until March 2024. So yeah, it's not so bad. But you learn a lot.
Yeah. Habitat is interested in getting access to these properties.
Yeah, and that's a big thing. I'll have to also get you connected with Tom McMahon at the Reading Redevelopment Authority. He is their representative to the Blighted properties.
Okay.
And of course, I believe you know Tom.
I do, yeah.
Yeah, so it's gonna be great.
He was in here a couple months ago.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. Yep. So yeah, this I think this is good. I don't know if Brandy wants to say anything.
Yes, I have an announcement. I will be leaving the city of Reading. I have 3 more weeks. My last day will be August 11th. So I wanted to let you all know. I may be able to assist afterwards with some transition before we get another planner, and I'll keep you updated as to how that will work and what those details are. So.
Glad to see you. You've been definitely.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Michelle. It's been an honor too. This is my first planning position ever, so it's been a massive learning curve, but I've really enjoyed working with you.
That's really mean you have been. I'm just, because of that, I'm disappointed to see. I understand moving on, but Unfortunately, that's what has
You
happened.
doing anything
So-
fun? Or-
So actually, my partner received an offer and I'm following him, so so I'm going to.
Well, hopefully, if you decide to get another planning position somewhere else, that Reading being on the resume is gonna help, but I would think it would because, you know, we're a pretty big town.
Yeah.
And
It's
we're-
very-
Sorry to
very
hear
good.
that,
Yeah.
but we appreciate your service and wish you all the best.
Thank you, Will. I appreciate that.
Okay. Anything else for the good of the order? Okay. Do I hear a motion to adjourn? Peter? Second? Dan? Question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Always interesting. You never hear enough opposition to closing the meeting. Very good. Thank you, everyone. I made it with the goal of 2 hours, so that's good.
It's only the
Very good.
fourth inning.
So, yeah, because, because we did have a lot of stuff to go through, so.
We're top of
Thank
the
you very
fifth.
much, everyone.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank
All right.
you.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Bye.
All the best, Randy.
Mhm.
Thank you, Nelson.
you,
I appreciate
Brandy.
it.
You bet.
Thanks, Tim.